What's up, Falcon fans and non-Falcon fans? On today's episode of Falcon Cave, where I'll discuss a Falcon topic, and you guys, the audience, will watch gameplay. If you guys like this type of content, let me know by hitting that like button. If you hate this type of content, hit that dislike button. We'll hurt your boy's feelings. Well, maybe just a little bit. But also, if you want to do a huge favor for your boy by hitting that subscribe button, it helps out with the empire tremendously. So on that note, let's carry on with today's video. And I want to talk about, can Drake London have a breakout season in 2023 with more than 1,000 receiving yards? Well, I think he definitely can. I was very impressed with him in his rookie season, especially with all the great competition he had, and especially how Marcus Mariota played as our quarterback. Not saying it was a good or bad thing, I'm just stating that it was interesting. And I know a lot of people have been discussing, well, is Drake London a quote-unquote, because I'm using air quotes, by the way, because you guys can't see me, is he a true number one wide receiver? Yeah, I think he totally is. I mean, he did it in college, you know, obviously that's college level, now can he do it at the professional level? And I thought he did a pretty good job in his rookie season. So let's just discuss his games in 2022. But first, we must talk about the opportunities he has gotten. So he was targeted 117 times. That was the 22nd best when it comes to all wide receivers. Now, when it comes to the opportunities in the air, that's pretty much interesting as well, because when it came to deep threat targets, he was targeted 15 times, and that was the 36th best when it comes to all wide receivers. And when it comes to the red zone target, he was targeted again 15 times, and that was the 18th best for the wide receivers. To me, that's a lot of trust in a rookie wide receiver, especially when you're running the ball most of the time when you're on the offensive side of the field. And then let's talk about the productivity. Is that how you say productivity? Productivity. Okay, sorry, my dyslexia is kicking in like crazy. But, you know, he caught, 72 receptions, and that was 26, best when it comes to all wide receiving, or all wide receivers. Oh my God. And then, of course, the receiving yards, 166, and that was the 28th best when it comes to all wide receivers. So now when it comes to total touchdowns that Drake London got last year, he had a grand total of 4. Now that ranks him 37th out of all the wide receivers. And honestly, that's not that bad, but it's also not great either. But the thing is, all those touchdowns were in the red zone. So we know he's a huge part of scoring for the Atlanta Falcons. And that's a great thing. So we will definitely love him to improve on that. I think he can, with all the new assets and all the other plethora of Coach Arthur Smith will definitely show for us. So that's not bad. Now, when it comes to the negative side, is his drops. Now, he dropped 5 balls. That was ranked number 29. So obviously, we don't want him to do that, because some of those drops really were critical moments that kind of, determined if we were going to win or lose those games. Now, I don't know if this one was a drop when it came to that time period when we had to face the Los Angeles Chargers and Khalil Mack stole the ball from Drake London's hand by ripping it out. Does that consider a drop? I don't know. But I know it's I know some type of fumble. I actually don't know where you categorize that. I'm not that intelligent when it comes to that part of the football world. But I don't know. That was something unfortunate for Drake London to experience. Hopefully he doesn't have to do that again. So now let's really talk about the meat and potatoes, because that's what most people, I think, are here for. The opponents that he will have to face in 2023. But first, we have to look back at our history to figure out how well he did last season when it came to, him facing those corners like Bradley Roby for the Saints, Jamel Dean from the Tampa Bay, and Donamade Lenord from the 49ers, then Chadwick Awuzie, from Cincinnati, Dante Jackson from the Panthers, Michael Davis from the Rams. Then you have Taylon Johnson from the Bears, and then Christian Holmes from the Washington Commanders, Cameron Sutton from Pittsburgh, Alontae Taylor from New Orleans, Marlon Humphrey from the Baltimore Ravens, Christian Matthews from the Arizona Cardinals, and then Sean Murphy Bunting from Tampa Bay, and then of course you got, Denzel Ward from the Cleveland Browns, and then let's not forget about Tariq Woodland from Seattle, who's just been a ball hawk corner, for them, getting a lot of picks for them. So, you know what, Drake London had some pretty good competition. Now, did he have any elite competition? Well, I guess you could probably say Denzel Ward will probably be in that category. Now, definitely you could make an argument for Woodland, who's definitely is an upcoming young stud. And then, Jamel Dean, who was the beast for them for Tampa Bay. He was a pretty good shutdown corner last season. And then, Alontae Taylor, that the Saints always draft well when it comes to defensive players. They always seem to be doing a pretty good job. And then, of course, Marlon Humphrey had been having a down season, up and down for a couple of years. So I guess you want to put him in the mix. So it's very interesting to see Drake London competitively compete with these corners. And I thought he did a pretty good job. Now, were any of them excellent? Not till towards the very end of his situational, rookie grand campaign. Because obviously, you have to factor in, quarterback play, what type of schemes that Arthur Smith cooked up at that single moment, how many chances he got the balls, how many times he caught those balls, the route runnings, the snap counts, the reception yards. Because sometimes, if Marcus Mariota handled, his mechanics a little bit more better, obviously Drake London would probably had a better chance in getting more yardage and more opportunities to make more critical downs. So obviously you have to watch the full game to really factor in all that. But I thought he did a pretty good job in his rookie season. Now, obviously, like I said earlier, in the beginning of his season, he started off, pretty good, in the first 2-3 games, against New Orleans, the Rams, and Seattle. He averaged over 50-plus yards, more than, 6-plus targets, reception rise, average 4 per game. But then, against, week 4 through week 12, that's where he kind of went downhill. Now, obviously, we all know because the running game was more a vice for the Atlanta Falcons at that time. Arthur Smith wanted to ground and pound the ball, and Marcus Mariota was targeting other players, and then, they weren't having the best matchups, statistically wise. So that's always something to factor. But with Desmond Ridder, that's what I'm very excited about, you guys. And I think a lot of Falcon fans are very excited because with those 4 games in mind, with with New Orleans, with Baltimore, with the Cardinals, and then with Tampa Bay, his productivity just skyrocketed. Now, obviously, I'll give credit where credit is due. Marcus Mariota, against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and week 13, because, against the Pittsburgh Steelers, he had a pretty good. He was targeted 12 times, caught 6 receptions for 95 grand total. And so, after that, you start seeing him to get more repetition, more comfortable because of Desmond Ridder, after we bench Marcus Mariota. But you know what? It shows. So that's what I think is very promising because of those young chemistry with those two guys. So I think with all that in mind now, where Desmond Ridder and Drake London can work together, during the offseason, and with all the brand new help for the defensive side of the ball, and then we got, Bijan Robinson with the 8th overall pick, that definitely helped our dynamics when it comes to attacking the ball much more effective, because now we could do a lot more play actions, we could do a lot more trickery with all of our new weapons, and then of course Drake London and Kyle Pitts. So Desmond Ridder love his tight ends, so I think it just gives us more advantages with Desmond Ridder, because I like him a little bit more better when it comes to quarterback play and not him hesitating a lot where Marcus Mariota did that. But let's talk about the corners that Drake London will have to face this year, because there's some pretty good competition, I think. So let's start out with all our division rivals, because I just stated earlier, we're going to face them twice a year, and Drake London had some pretty good moments with them. So there's that. Now let's talk about the Packers corner, and that's Jameer Alexander. Definitely Drake London will have to face. And then for the Lions, it could either be Cameron Sultan or Emmanuel Mosley. For the Jaguars, it will probably be Tyson Campbell, Roger McCreary from the Tennessee Titans. He's pretty good for a rookie. And of course, let's not forget about Sauce Gardner, who plays for the New York Jets. That will probably be the most competition that Drake London will have to face when it comes to individual matchups between corners. Now, obviously, there's more corners I haven't mentioned, but since the video is almost over, thank you guys for watching this type of content. If you guys stick around to the very end, I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. I always love making Falcon content for you guys. So on that note, what do Falcons do? Rise up. Until the next episode, show love and peace to the world, and peace.